Hi viewers, this is Chris and I welcome you all to our YouTube learning channel named as ThinkEduEra, as you all know. And I am really excited once again today to be presented in front all of you to discuss and talk through one more topic today. And I would talk to you about the topic in a while, but before that, I would like to say thank you all for giving all the love and affection to the currently learning running series, which is quality concept and management and the management and management theories. So viewers, stay focused, keep watching, liking and sharing our videos, and of course you all need to subscribe to get the notifications for all upcoming videos. So thank you so much, and without further delay, let's move on. Okay viewers, so as usual we are on our home page of the channel homepage, and you can visit to our channel and you can learn about our vision, mission and the goal statement so that you can connect to us very well. Okay viewers, let's move on. And of course our favorite and my personal favorite skill framework, we all talk about it, but we all refresh in our every lecture. We refresh this in our mind that what is our goal, uh, we are trying to achieve after each learning completed. Okay viewers, so here we go. So the today's topic is QMS, which is quality management system. And before I start this today, and this the first video of this series both in Hindi and English was released last week, and it was very uh, you know gone viral, I would say, and I would like to thank you all of you for that. And before I start this talking through about the quality management system today, let's just read this quote about the quality. Quality is never an accident, it is always the result of intelligent effort. John Ruskin. Yes, so we are talking about the quality in this learning series. Last time in the previous lecture, we had talked about the various, the total, uh, the previous lecture was all about the quality and quality concepts and understanding the quality from different perspective. If anyone of you would like to watch that lecture first, because that is how we should move on further during our learning, uh, and I hope that definitely you are going to enjoy both of those lectures in Hindi as well as in English. Today I am going to cover the QMS in English language, of course, and then the Hindi version will follow soon. Okay viewers, so let's start for today's topic, the quality management system. Since we already know and talked about the quality, what is quality, and how do we take care about the quality, now the next step, that how do we inbuild that quality into our systems, uh, what are the quality systems, and how do we understand those quality systems, and how the quality systems helps us to drive, build the quality and drive the quality wherever you are. Okay, so let's just look at what do you mean by the quality management system. We understand the quality now. Let's understand the quality management system. So in the simple term, I can say that the system who is managing the quality is the quality management system. Yes, but let's just understand the QMS little better. Let's just read a few definitions or the explanations people try to explain the quality management system. Let's just read the first one and then we will talk through all of these definition or the explanations about the quality management system so that you get a hang of what is all about, right? So a quality management system, QMS, is defined as a formalized system that documents processes, procedures, and responsibilities for achieving quality policies and objectives. And this definition is from the quality glossary definition, of course. So I took it from there to talk through while we start. So what it is saying is that quality management system is a formalized system. It is a formalized system. It is formed, right? That documents the process. That what it does is this formed system. What it does, it documents the processes. It documents the procedures. It and the responsibilities for achieving the quality policies and objectives. So the quality policies and objectives are the bigger perspective. It may be a part of the vision and the mission, and how we are driving those vision and mission through this quality policy and quality objectives. Then, considering these policies and objectives, documenting the procedures, processes, and assigning the responsibilities so that we can achieve the quality is basically our quality system, or we can say it the quality management system. Let's just read out the another explanation about the quality management system. A QMS is a group of procedures and processes that help a business achieve high quality results. Quality management can vary depending on the industry, but it involves creating strategies to ensure products and designs meet a certain standard. A QMS is a system that professionals can use to in the quality management process. It may include documents, procedures, or processes. So viewers, very similar to the quality glossary definitions. It just slightly talked about few more points here. It talks about that, of course, the talks about the procedures and policies. It also talks about the policies and objectives, but it also talks about that how do we achieve the high quality results, considering and involving to ensure that what should be our products, what should be our the design of the product of a certain standard. So it also talks about the standard, and definitely talks about the system that professionals can use in the quality management process. And definitely when we have some process, we will definitely going to document those processes. That is what it is all about. Let's just read out the third one and then see what's new in there. Quality management is the act of overseeing different activities and tasks within an organization to ensure that products and services offered, as well as the means used to provide them, are consistent. Very well said, right? So it is saying that of course there are different activities which is happening in the organization at a different levels, maybe at input level, at process level, and that is generating the output. So it says that we should be aware that what are the means we are getting the inputs, are they consistent, are our inputs or the materials are up to the standard and are always consistent up to that quality, so that it can help maintain desired level of quality within the organization. So it is basically talking about that the QMS is a system which ensuring that every time we do something, we do it at a consistent pace, at a consistent rate, at a consistent efficiency, and uh, with the consistent effectiveness. That is what it is saying, that the QMS is basically ensuring the consistency of those processes which we are going to follow under the QMS. Okay, let's read the next one, viewers. A quality management system can be defined as a collection of business processes that focus on meeting customer requirements on a consistent basis. Again, viewers, by now you are very familiar that customer we rate the quality based on the customer requirements and needs, and it is focusing on this aspect, or the explanation of the QMS is basically telling us about that how a QMS may ensure that we are meeting the customer requirements not only once, not only twice, but always consistently. And that is what it is talking about, and that is what we can say, that if we have such a system which is taking care of all of these aspects, then we can say that we have a quality management system in place, whether it's a business professional or your own things which you do in your personal life. Okay, viewers, let's just read few more, and then I think that it will be very clear to all of you that what quality management system is. A quality management system, often called a QMS in short, just remember this: the QMS is quality management system, is a set of internal rules that are defined by a collection of policies, processes, documented procedures, and records. This system defines how a company will achieve the certain and delivery of the products and services they provide to their customers. So basically, you can also say it, since it's predefined, since it is documented, since it has some processes to follow, definitely they are in terms of rule, in terms of guidance, in terms of policies, so that, or in terms of a system, so that it is meeting the customer requirement each and every time consistently up to the mark with the standard. Quality management focuses both on product and service quality and on the means to achieve it. It has four main components. So see, viewers, here, since it is, we are calling it a system, right? And system is a kind of thing where a different components works in tandem, so that ultimately they are striving, or they are trying to achieve the common goal. That is what the system is, and that's why when we are calling it a system, quality management system. And if we are calling it a system, it will have different components, but those components should work with each other in sync, so that the entire system is basically working to ensure that the quality product and services are getting delivered. And quality management system is not only on product base, it is focused on equally on it equally focuses on the process side, not only the product development side. Not only you know uh, consider that we should be delivering a best quality product, but it also ensure that with the product the services are also up to the mark, are also up to the standard, so that the quality management system takes care about everything. And it has these four components. We say that it contribute to quality planning, that's one. Then we have quality control, then we have quality assurance, and of course in this cycle, at every steps, we will reflect, we will relook, we will do you know the feedback loop and everything. Then definitely the fourth element comes into picture, which we call the quality improvement. So in the QMS, every QMS have four major components: the quality planning, quality control, quality assurance, and there is a loop of feedback, which basically uh, constitute the fourth element or the fourth component of the QMS, which is quality improvements. So just remember all of those components. These four components put together makes the QMS, which is our quality management system. A QMS is a set of business processes that help in an organization stay compliant and deliver product that consistently achieve customer satisfaction. One more aspect of the quality management system, viewers, is the compliant requirement. So definitely each company, each organization, each business, each professional wants to comply uh, the regulatory requirement, maybe the government requirement, maybe the industry requirement, maybe that particular industry may have some compliantary requirements. So all of that also be taken care by the should also be taken care by the quality management system. Then and only we will call it a complete quality management system. And the last quote is, a quality management system is a tool professionals can use to improve their company's production efficiency or processes. And of course, as we said viewers, that there are four components, and the last component in the QMS is quality improvement. Definitely if we will follow some system, that we will find some bottlenecks, we will some have some restrictions, we will have some bottlenecks or some issues, and definitely we will identify them and we will improve on them, we will control them, we will try to eliminate them, and that's how we continuously try to become more efficient, more productive. So viewers, I hope by now you have some level of understanding what quality management system is. Last time we had talked about the quality concepts and the quality about the quality. Now today we are talking about how a quality management system helps to drive the quality into the organization, into the business, into the professional, in our self development, or into our daily life wherever we are. How we can uh, inbuild the system so that whatever we do with full of quality. Okay viewers, let's move on. Let's move one step further and just try to understand. As we talked about in our previous session, we talked about the Edward Deming, and we had talked about, if you remember, that the concept of plan, do, study, act was given some by somebody else. But when Dr. Edward Deming worked on this approach and he took his study further, he named this model as PDCA, and he changed the study to check, plan, do, check, act. And let's just try to understand how this PDCA model help us to understand the quality management system, because everything, this PDCA model is very very important and the critical model in a quality systems. So how do we build a quality management systems? This model can explain us very well. So let's just look at this four component of a PDCA model: plan, do, check, act. Talk about all of these components separately, and then how this model put together can we can build, by using this model, how we can build the quality management systems wherever we are, in business or in a profession or in an organization. So let's just understand the planning. How do we plan for quality? So let's just talk through about the planning part. Identify your goals and baseline. So this is very important. How do you start planning for something? Definitely you should have a goal. Once you have a goal, you want to do something, right? And that's your goal. You want to achieve something, you want to deliver something, you want to produce something that will become your. So we are, of course, we are talking a little bit more from a business perspective, but if you are a student, even you can do this PDCA model approach, and you can plan your study schedule. You can of course define your goals, right? You might be preparing for some interview, preparing for some competitive exam. You may be having some scope to define. Definitely you might have some deadline to achieve, right? So you must have some limited time in hand. So all of those components, putting together and considering, you can build your plan, uh, of course. So definitely in the planning, what you need to do first is, first of all, first and foremost, identify your goals and the baseline. What is the baseline? Baseline is that what you are trying to achieve is your goal, and where you are in that journey is your baseline. So maybe let's say, take an example, a student is preparing for, let's say, for an IAS. So the goal of that student is to become an IAS in the near future. And of course, let's consider that he is preparing for his pre, or the main, or whatever it is, at what stage. So let's consider he is uh, preparing for pre. examinations. So if he then definitely his goal, ultimate goal is to become an IAS officer, let's say maybe in next 2 years. Okay, so the goal of the person or the student becomes that he wants to be an IAS in next 2 years. That's the goal. Now the baseline is where the student is he just beginning the study, or he already preparing, or studying, or is trying to appear for free examination in next 3 months maybe. So let's decide that stage where you are in that journey of your goal. How far you are from the goal is your baseline, nothing else. So if you are just starting, so you are base for that students who is just thinking about to be an IAS in next 2 years, that's the goal. But if he is just thinking, or she is just thinking about to be an IAS, it means their baseline is the zero. They need to start from a zero to hero. Yeah, so that is what we can say. Some may be that they have already cleared the pre, but they want to prepare for the main examination, and then they want to be ready for the interview. So maybe that the baseline for the second students who already cleared the pre is basically the baseline is pre, and now they need to plan from pre to main journey, right? What are the studies, what are the topics, what are the subject they need to cover, and everything and all. So I just took an example from a planning perspective, that how a student can plan and use this PDCA model to use a quality system, and it can be applicable everywhere. That's why I'm just taking an example of a student here. Let's just see. So we identified the goal. We identified the baseline. Baseline is nothing. How far you are from your goal is your baseline, or what is the distance you already traveled towards your goal from the starting point is your baseline. If you are sitting at the starting point, you are just need to start. Of course, your baseline is at zero. But if you traveled some distance already, you covered some materials. Let's say the example of the students who cleared the pre. So basically, zero to pre is the pre status is the baseline for that particular student. So that's what the baseline is. Don't worry about that much about that. But we need to understand that what is our goal, where we are from the starting point, that is our baseline, and from where we need to start. Okay, let's read this third one. Determine quality standards and the requirement to meet those standards. Now, if you want to be an IAS, definitely we will take that example for this entire all of these four steps. Now we just need to think that a student probably might have to do some analysis, might just have to see that what are the standard of an IAS, what kind of preparation is required, what kind of schedule we do we need to have, how do we need to select our subjects, how do we prepare for what level of study is required, how many hours do they need to study, considering the historical pattern or the various materials available. So those all standards may be for a student, right? In definitely in the industry or in a business it may be little different. Let's say maybe that industry is following some standards, and there are some standards already applicable and available which we need to follow. So from a business perspective it may be little different, from a student's perspective it may be little different, but definitely this model, the point which I am trying to make here is that this PDCA model and the quality management system can be implemented anywhere, we can use it anywhere, we can plan better. And how this entire, once we will do this planning, and let's just read the fourth point, and our planning aspect will be done. Determine what procedures will be used to ensure criteria is being met. So what is our criteria or our goal? Our goal is to become an IAS, right? If our goal is to become an IAS, let's say next 2 years, and let's say the students is on the starting phase or at the clear the pre, now you need to decide, as I just talked about, that what will be your schedule, what will be your planning method, what would be your studying method, how many hours will you read, what would be the schedule you will be following, how you will be taking care about your health, and and the study, how you will cover the total syllabus, how you will be participating into different interviews, the mock interviews, how do you discuss with your colleagues and the mentors. So these all things will be part of your plan. So the very first steps of QMS is the planning, or anything which you do, definitely you plan. If you do anything and jump in is in the second step, you will start doing, definitely you will not be going to do it in a standard way. So that's where you need to plan first. So the plan is ready. Now this plan is ready of a student who probably wants to be an IAS in next 2 years. So let's move on to the second stage. Now once we have the plan, we have the timeline, we have the goal, we have timeline, we have our baseline ready. We know that what are the standards, what are the other students is what are the time other student is spending on those schedules, what is my syllabus, how do I go, how do I am going to cover that in that duration, how I will be preparing myself, how I will be grooming myself, what about the communication, what about the personality, and everything is charted and planned. Okay, let's move on the second step. Now once we have the planning for all the things, we think through in details and we planned it. um, so the second step talks about doing. Now it is the time to action, right? So we need not to start with the action. We need to do the planning first, and now it is time to action. Once our plan is ready, so we will entering into the planning phase now, into the executing phase or the do phase now. So what do phase do? Okay, organizing supporting documents, ISO documentation, policies, procedure, training materials, work station, etc. in a document management system. So it is the definition which is here, or the model which is here, is from a business perspective. But I will take both the example. I will continue talking about the student example, but let's just take it from a business perspective. So it is just talking that if you are trying to build an quality management system in your business or in a profession, so definitely you may have to do a lot of documentation. The plan which you have done, now you will have to give a shape to that plan. You will have to charter that plan now. So you will have to create a lot of documentation, maybe you will have to create a lot of policies, maybe you will have to create a lot of processes, maybe like which we call the standard operating procedure and all. You will probably have to create a lot of training materials, right? You know your plan, how you are going to achieve that plan, then you work on this do activities or do phase, right? Train employees on new processes, deploy the quality management system and all. So this is the do phase from a business perspective, from an organization perspective, who is going to apply and implement the quality management system. But let's for a moment go back to that student example who is very curious to be an IAS in next 2 years. That's his or her goal. Okay, so, or let's say call the person, that's the person's goal. Okay, so in the do plan, what that student can do, the student maybe do in this after the planning, what he can do is, whatever the study or the subject he have chosen, so he probably have to look at and collect all the books, right? He will have to probably schedule, create a schedule of his or her day, that how many hours he will plan for a study, how many hours for what subject, what kind of what materials he will cover day by day, maybe like that he can prepare that schedule weekly or maybe, and then it will be recycled, right? So this is all the do, and then of course he will come back to this do plan, and this two is basically will be based on the planning. The planning is for 2 years, and of course the person will collect the study material. He will do that, if he need to go through and the coaching centers, or maybe the or he may need to join some centers for the education or for the guidance, maybe do he need to go to an institute for in front of the interview panels after some time. So he will do all of this, he will collect all of this information. What are the books, what are the schedule he is going to prepare, what is the institute he's going to join for preparation. So all of that he will is in the two phase. Now the third phase comes as the check, which is the third part of this model, which is check. In the check phase, and let's look at from an industry perspective, and then we will continue with the student example. Okay, the control measures and monitor your outputs to ensure they meet expected criteria. In the check phase, whatever we had planned, or what we are doing, is it matching with our plan? Is it as per our plan? Are we ahead? Are we behind? Are we over? Are we low? Are we in the right direction? Are we off? So we all need to check here in the check phase. Basically, it's a validation. It's a revalidation. You had planned something, you are executing it. Now let's see if this execution is going as per the plan. And that is what the check thing. It basically identifies if there are any gaps, if there are any variations, if there are any defects, if there are any the problem in the directions. Do we have any bottlenecks? Do we have some restrictions? Do we have some problems? Do we have some bottlenecks? We all will come to know about the in the check phase. And of course, if we go back to that student example, definitely the students uh, have those 2 years in hand. They have certain materials to cover, they have certain schedules to cover. Now that student will recheck that whatever he had planned, let's say for to cover in that particular first month or week, then have that student able to cover all of those schedule of that 1 week. Is he or he or she behind the schedule or ahead the schedule? Then probably they need to adjust their plan accordingly. See, this check is basically raising a lot of alarms or the actions, or the the to do's basically. And by checking, you will again go back to your plan. If you need to adjust your plan, you will have to do that. You will have to some adjust some doings, you will adjust that doings. If let's say, let's consider that if in one subject which you had planned in the first week to cover, you are one chapter behind, then definitely you will say that, probably you can say that in your planning you will have to add one more day to cover that, and then of course you will have to reduce that one day from somewhere else. And definitely in the doing that, wherever you are adding that one day, you go and do that, right? And that's how this check is basically raises the alarm to for certain actioning, for certain revalid certain action, for certain changes, certain modification, certain new implementation, and of course modification your plan, and act accordingly. And that's where the fourth phase come in the act. So we planned, we are doing it, we executing it, and we are checking it, we are validating it against the plan. And then of course whatever the actions point is coming out, we are acting on it. Like we are just reviewing the findings of your quality management system, re-evaluate both the process and the product, and begin the quality management process again. Similarly, it is from a business perspective here. So it says that during the check phase, of course you might have come to the checklist. This and this is going right, this is going wrong, this is in the right status, we are over, we are low, and everything act you are then you are acting on those action points here. And then definitely you will come up with the modified plan, and this cycles continues. And this builds the complete quality management system, viewers. And I hope that from a industry perspective also, and with the very common example of a students who wants to plan for a particular goal in their career to achieve, and they are preparing for it, they are preparing for competition, maybe use this PDCA model very well. Even in the personal life, person can use it, right? You have a child education plan, you probably have some marriage plan, you want to build a house, let's say after 5 years. So all of that if you want to apply in a systematic way, you can use this quality management system there. That is what I'm trying to say, that it is not only applicable from industry, or don't think so that it is only applicable to the employer, companies or the big businesses, and we can't use these practices or the models in our personal life. Definitely we can use them, and definitely if we will start doing this, because if an organization, if an business, if a big company, big business can succeed where there are thousands of components, and if you start using these practices into your personal life, to achieve your personal goals, and definitely if you build that kind of QMS around you, definitely you are going to success by using these QMS systems, viewers. So, and that is what our objective here, to tell you about these models, how they can impact, how they can benefit us all, and we can use them as an skill. So I hope, viewers, if you are a student, so by looking at today's lecture, by watching this lecture, I would suggest to all of the students who are preparing for something, who are trying to make them future ready, just use this model of QMS, which is the plan, do, check, act, and then keep revolving, keep checking this model, keep checking your performance, and keep updating your plan accordingly. Do your directional changes in the do, and keep doing and keep acting it. And definitely, I wish you all the best for your future, all the students. Okay, let's go and move on. Okay, viewers. Now, since we understood that it is very easy to understand the QMS from a perspective of PDCA model. If you remember the PDCA model, of course, you can see that P for plan, D for do, and C for check, and C for check, and then it is uh, A for act. Okay, PDCA. So in this PDCA, how do we plan, how do we do, how do we check, and then how do we act on the same is basically our QMS system. Now let's understand what are the four components of a quality management system. So let's just leave that student example for a while away from this discussion. Okay, so in any quality management systems, there are four components which is very very important and works very well. So very first is the quality planning. When we are specifically talking about from a quality perspective, then definitely the first component of a QMS will be the quality planning. Though it is a planning, but it is a quality planning, right? The process of identifying the quality standard relevant to the project and deciding how to meet them is basically the quality planning, right? You will just have to see that if you are in a particular industry, let's say you are into operations, right? It's a process, it's a executing process, or abstract process maybe, that you are running an operation, managing an operation. If you are running an operations, then probably you will have to see that into the operation what kind of quality standards are there. Maybe let's take an example of a call center, and there are voice calls. It is a call center of voice calls. Then definitely you will have to see that in the call center environment, what are the standards used, what are the matrices which they measure. So let's say it calls the service level agreement is one, or can be one. Maybe that what is the wait time. Wait time is nothing but that how much time a caller is on wait while the call is answered, right? So that is the service level is there, the wait time is there, the whole time is there, the AST is there. So there are various matrices I am talking about, because since I have some experience of the call center environment. So wherever you are planning for your personal objectives or personal goals. You are planning the quality for a organization, for a particular industry, for a particular sector. Then definitely you will have to see around and check that what are the standards applicable, what are the matrices the standard matrices the industry follow, the sector follows. The second thing came into picture is basically the okay. Let's talk about the planning in little detail. So when you are planning for a quality, what all you can take care of. So you can think about understanding how the organization views quality. Definitely, the quality, the uh, in which organization you are working, what is the organization perspective about the quality, you will have to align yourself with that definitely. Then understand customer strategic needs and desire. Definitely we are going to deliver, whether it's a product, it's a service, we are delivering on customer requirements, customer needs. We know all of that now by now, from our previous lectures. So definitely you will determine that. Then you will determine how quality is vital to the organization missions. Maybe that what is the organization perspective to the quality, what level of quality the organization is trying to achieve, at what level of development the organization is, what level of development the industry is. So what is your desirable level for the quality, from organization perspective. You will have to understand it, and you will have to align yourself with that. For the example of that student, definitely what is the competition in the market, what level of competition it is. The lakhs and lakhs students are appearing for the IAS examination, but very few is getting selected, so we can understand what level competition is there, right? So we all have to determine the uh, the quality is vital. What is the quality, what is the vital level of that quality, right? So include quality in vision and values statements. This is from an organization perspective. They are saying that if we want to build or have a quality management system, definitely we'll have to build into the DNA, I would say. So DNA of the organization. So what is the DNA of organization is basically the vision, right? So everything is towards the direction of vision. So we will have to include the quality into the vision and values statements. Basically that is what suggested, that can help to drive and build the quality management system. Recognize how quality methods can help the organization close the gap between its current state and its ideal future state. And that's how, because you will have to understand that we talked about that during the planning, right? So you will have to see that what is your goal, what is your baseline, and then you see that and what is the gap between the baseline and your objective and your goal. And then you have that gap or that distance to travel to reach to your goal. And that is how you can understand it. So you will have to recognize that um, recognize how quality methods can help the organize close the gap. So you identified the gap, and then you will see that how these quality methods or the features or the management system which you are going to implement or use, how it will bridge that gap, how it will just eliminate that gap from your baseline to the objective or to the goal. Commit to using internal assessment methods to understand the effectiveness of actions taken to improve quality. And definitely when we talk about that PDCA model, just keep all, whenever we are talking about the quality management, if you have this PDCA model in your mind, you can write down in any examination. You can explain every aspect of quality management system in each of these four phases PDCA, right? So this is the C model, the check. So you are checking that it is saying that committed to the internal assessment methods. So in the check, what you are doing, you need to implement, you need to have some level of methods, some procedures, some mechanism which can tell you that what you have planned and what is the effectiveness of doing or executing those plans, so that you can understand if there are some gaps or some bottlenecks which need to be removed from there. That is what all these points need to be taken care while you are planning for quality. Embrace a framework or management system regarding tactical planning for quality, and that is what it is recommending, that you can basically take take or use or leverage the systems or the framework which is available, so that you can help and plan better. Okay, viewers, let's just look at the another component of QMS. The very first component we covered the planning one. We talked about the planning in detail. How do we do the planning? And then let's talk about the quality improvement. How do we improve the quality? And here are some points around improvement. Train employee and stakeholder, right? So basically you will have to tell and train your employees about the quality initiatives, about the quality process, about the methods, procedures, your and that's why it was suggested in the planning phase that you need to have add the quality into your vision and value statement, because when you are going back to your employees and you want to communicate this quality management system to them, you can just show that vision statements, those value statement to your employees, to your management, to your leadership, and basically to drive the culture, right? And then discuss in meetings, or every time when there is meeting, whenever there is communication, you keep talking about the quality. You need to recognize the organized quality initiative achievements, that what standard you are currently following, what standard you are trying to achieve in the future, what are the schedules, share results from projects. Okay, whenever you have some achievements, the milestones, share them with the employees, with the companies, so that it is communicated well and perceived well, uh, and it becomes a lesson learned maybe. Encourage employees. We definitely need to encourage employees also, and that's why we focus about the quality and the experience and the skills of the employees, right? And then recognize, definitely, if it is going better, you are improving, we need to celebrate it, we need to recognize it. And that is how we cover the second component of the quality improvement. So we talked about the planning, we talked about the improvement. Let's talk about the two more components, which is the quality control and quality assurance. There is a difference. So viewers, we need to understand what is quality control and what is quality assurance. So they are different, definitely. What is the difference, we'll understand now. Okay, now let's talk about the quality control first, and then we'll talk about the quality assurance. What it's talking in the quality control? The counting effort, the continuing effort to uphold a process integrity and reliability in achieving an outcome. And that is what the quality control is. So it is continuous. First of all, you need to understand that quality control is not that it is coming at a particular step and then it get executed and everything gets sorted. It is continuous. So it has quality control has to be at every step of the process, of the procedures, throughout the execution. That is what it is trying to say. So what we can say in the quality control, so we are definitely we are planning for it at a method level, we are planning it at the execution chain level, we are planning it in the in our professionals, the people, right? So we are talking about the people, skills, experience, their training and development we are talking about. So that is what the one thing is. Then there are quality control is through the uh, infections, right? So quality control we can do through the infections. We are maintaining the machines, we are maintaining the hygienes, we are just using that the input material is up to the mark as per the required quality. Then all of this it comes under the quality control, right? We have some procedure to check audits in a process environment, right? So we talk a lot about the audits and all. So what is audit? Audit is nothing but checking what was planned and if the execution is meeting that plan, or it just highlights where the variations, if any, right? So that's what the quality control is. And then we come to the quality assurance. In the quality Okay, before we move the quality assurance, let's just take some examples here. So it is saying that in the quality control we can identify defects. Of course, it can be an reactive approach. We once we identify it, then we'll have to see that what are the changes required. Then we see that specific team responsibility. We assign the responsibilities to the people, right? Who is going to do what? Then there is a corrective tools, right? If there is something which we need to correct, I mean, if the defect occurs, definitely we'll have to go and correct it. So that is the corrective actions, right? That maybe, the actions may be preventive, action may be the corrective, and we will understand this. And viewers, if you will stay with me towards the end of this lecture, I am going to discuss a very, very, very important concept today. I will not reveal it. Keep watching the video, and you will come to know what is that. Okay, so let's move to the quality assurance. The systematic or planned actions necessary to offer sufficient reliability to that, so that a particular service or product will meet the specified requirement, is our quality assurance, viewers. Okay, so how do we ensure the quality assurance? So quality control is making sure that there is no defect, there is machine material and everything is up to the mark and standards. We are following the procedures rightly and everything. It is quality control. Now, what is quality assurance? In the quality assurance, we see that is our customer satisfied, is our business partner satisfied, are we following the standards, do we have a guarantee stamps, do we have a service stamps, are we delivering on the services, are we making the improvements? All of this comes into the assurance. How we are assuring that we are delivering quality? Of course, the customer satisfaction, right? Customer is first. And we are delivering on the customer requirements and the needs, right? And then we delivering the business aspect, are we meeting the industry standards, right? Are we in the are we following the industry norms? All of these, do we have some guarantee, do we have some service delivery up to the mark? So all of these come into the assurance. So that's the difference between the quality control and quality assurance. And how do we drive that? How do we identify quality control? How do we implement quality control? How do we implement quality assurance? Let's move on, viewers, a little more. Okay, under the now let's just talk about the quality dimensions. We talked about the four quality components. Now just let talk about the quality QMS dimensions. Now in the QMS dimensions, so in these two charts, these are the almost similar chart, and I put it just for a view that you have a different views, of course. And if you see these eight components you see here, this yeah. So the leadership, so QMS is quality management system is in center. So quality management system is talking to the leadership. It is that leadership is building the user orientation. Then it is all about building the partnerships, decision making based on the facts, then continuous improvement. And of course, for continuous improvement we are following the process approach, and that process approach is very well aligned with the management systematic approach. And that management systematic approach helping participation by the employees, and then of course it is going back to the leadership. So it's a kind of network chart, I would say, that every component is related and contributing something. And that is what the quality dimensions or the QMS dimensions can be understood. So basically, why we are using the QMS, why we are using a company or organization, and even we took the example of our students, may why do they want to use the quality management system? Why do they want to have such a system which is basically ensuring and making sure that we will definitely going to achieve our objective. Of course there are unknowns, of course there are some risks, of course there are something which we cannot plan, definitely, right? And it is said about the planning, about the forecasting, that it will always be different what we have planned or projected. But it is important to understand how close we are. So if a goal of a student is to become an IAS in next 2 years, so maybe it may take 2.5 5 years, or maybe 3 years, maybe, or maybe that person may become an IAS before that as well. So that is not sure, but the plan is for 2 year, right? The plan is for 2 year. Definitely it may be maybe earlier, it may be later, but our QMS is basically all about ensuring that definitely we are going to achieve what we are planning for. And that is what the quality dimensions have. So we have all those, whatever the quality dimensions which we have. At an as an individual you will have less dimensions, because you are preparing and getting ready by yourself, of course your family and friends, and the organization which is you are attached to, the institutes which where you are going for preparation, the panelists in front of you are appearing for an interview, all of those are contributing the elements or the dimension, I would say, from a student perspective. But from a business perspective, these are the dimensions which is available in an organization, in a business. And for a student, we just talked about, right, what it can be the student study material, it can be the institutions, it can be the friends, it can be the family and all. So the basically, why dimensions from a company perspective, that there are two dimension to look at. Why do we follow QMS? So a company basically, or a student's example which we just talk about, that what is their requirement, what are their goals. So in order to support their goals, their vision, their mission, we have to have a quality management system. That the another thing is the customer requirements. That definitely whatever we are doing from a business perspective, from a professional perspective, we are working everything, we are building everything, whether it's a product, it's a service, or whatever it is, including the experience, we are doing everything for the client, for the customers, right? And here students is doing everything towards his or her success, his, achieving that objective. They are working towards an objective, right? And it may be it is from a student perspective, it's a personal objective. But while from a business objective, it's a vision or a mission of a business, of a organization, maybe we can say that. So that is how we can understand the dimensions. The dimension is of a QMS from a company perspective, from a client perspective, and from a student perspective, it may be a personal objective, right? Of a student, that they want to try and go and trying to strive an objective. So that is how we will try to understand the dimensions of it, and we can utilize and leverage those dimensions. Okay, how do we integrate the QMS, and how QMS is integrated? Because when we saying the system, and system is of course a lot of components work together in tandem, right? So when we talk about a quality management system, see that how it is integrated in an organizational environment and in a business environment. So let's talk about a change management. If you are if you have a quality management system already, or if you are planning to have a quality management system, definitely you may have to go through the change management, right? So design the change management, you will have to design that, how you are going to do that change. There is as is process and there is to be process, right? So you will uh, have to drive the change while the as is process is running, and you are designing to be process, right? Definitely you will have to QMS change management, you will have to do your risk review, that if you are changing the current process, edges process, and you are trying to move to be process, then what can be the risk, and definitely you would like to plan. And definitely when you are doing that planning, that remember that PDCA model, while you are planning for quality, of course you will consider all of those factors there. Now the corrective and preventive actions in the QMS, you always takes care about the corrective. I talked about, right, there are two actions which we talk normally. One is corrective action, one is preventive action. So preventive action is already ahead of time. I mean, something does you are we basically takes the preventive actions, so that nothing happens, that events do not occur which we are thinking, or which is liable to occur, right? So let's say, take an example of the COVID scenario, right? So in the COVID-19 scenario, what government has does, what the different countries has does, they started researching that, what the vaccine to develop the vaccine, right? And definitely the different companies, different organizations came with the vaccination, and they got those vaccinations approved. And that definitely this was a corrective action, because the COVID has already happened. COVID had already happened. How do we uh, you know defeat the COVID? How do we come out from a COVID pandemic? That's where the corrective action started by the companies, by developing to start developing various vaccines. And definitely the vaccines came in, and then we all utilize those. This is a corrective action, and thankfully the COVID pandemic is in control now. So that is a very very recent example of a corrective action. Now something maybe a preventive action. We can take an example of a preventive action in a another in the company environment. So let's say there is a car manufacturing company, and they research in the market, and they come to know that most of the vehicle are accident prone, and there are possibility that when they met with an accident, then definitely there are some hazards to the security. So they wanted to increase the security, that that the person who is driving the car, the people who are the as per the sitting capacity of the car, what can be the preventive measure, so that the kind of balloon kind of thing which they introduce, right? So it is a kind of a preventive actions. So these thing that we are planning for something which we expect that may happen or may occur in the future, and we are planning ahead of that, so that that occurrence will not impact. Or of course, first of all, we will try to definitely, we will not say that the people will met with an accident while driving, but that happens, right? We can't avoid this possibility, and that's why there are some additional safety measures inbuilt into the car, like those balloons, right? When a sudden accident happens, that balloons pop up, and then it can save from a major injury of the driver at least, and maybe the co participant in the car who is sitting, or the people who is sitting in the car, right? So these are the two examples of the corrective actions, the COVID-19 vaccines, which all try to build, and to corrective actions, so that we can come out and control the pandemic COVID-19. And then there's this security feature, which most of the cars have building these days, as in preventive actions. And if something wrong happens, something goes wrong, an accident happens, so at least they try to save the people's lives there from those accidents. So these are the preventive actions which can be happen. So these are we are just trying to understand that how uh, QMS can be integrated, because QMS, because the quality is everywhere, right? So we are trying to control everything. We are controlling it at the change management level. We are controlling it that if something had happened, we have a procedure for that. How do we avoid certain events? That is the preventive action which we are planning, right? Then there is a management responsibility, management review. So obviously our quality management system will have to be reviewed, that how much efficient it is. Infection readiness audit, internal audit should happen, so that you will come to know about about the performance, and about the variance gaps, if there are any. And then resources, of course, personal competency and the infrastructure. Definitely, if we are going to have a system, definitely the resources will be required. A certain standard will have to be followed. You will have to have certain skills in your resources, if we talk about from a human resource perspective. So this is the another integrated integration point, which may be one of the element of the QMS. The another thing may be the product surveillance. I mean, you are checking the compliant handling, right? Complaint handling. So when you sold the product in the market, let's say if you are a manufacturer, then maybe that you will have to build a system of a complaint management. You will have to build a system of risk monitoring. You will have to be vigilant in the market, that what are the competitor of the product. Is competitor's product is better than us? So all of this will have to happen, that you will have to inbuild in your QMS. Then definitely the design control, you will have to do the risk management thing. You will have to do managing the quality of the inputs and outputs. You will have to control all of this. Then definitely there is a validation and validation and verification process has to happen there. And then the process and production control. Obviously, you will have to have a process as per the customer requirements. You will have to have the supplier qualities. There should be some controls there. Identification and traceability should be there. So that is how complete integration of the QMS system can be done at a change management level, as a corrective and preventive action. Of course, there is a management responsibility to have a system and checks and balances, the reviews, resources, the product surveillance, design control, and the process and the production control. And that is how we can integrate the entire QMS. Okay, viewers, let's move on. Hope you are enjoying by now, and you can just take a break if you want. Okay, viewers, let's move on to the next topic under the QMS, which is the QMS principles. And let's just talk through in brief about what are the quality QMS principles. Okay, let's just take a look to this architecture or the graph here, the image which is shown here for the principles of quality management. And if we see that, you can say that there are 7 quality principles or the quality management principles which is considered while we are talking about the QMS or the quality management system. The very first one is customer focus. And I think when we talked about the quality concepts and the brief about the quality, we very much understand the quality requirements and quality needs, right? And this principle is coming from that aspect here as the first principle of the QMS, which is customer focus. And let's just see that what it says. If you are trying to provide product and services that meet customer needs, you first need to be focused on what these needs are. Of course, right? The customer, this customer focus is the foundation of improving customer satisfaction. So of course, we know that we collect the requirement from the customer. We try to understand the customer needs, but remember, what is the purpose behind that is much more important, and that's why we talk about the customer focus. And we need to research that. We need to do the market research for that. Maybe the primary, maybe the secondary research. It depends, right? But we have to have the customer focus to have the which is the first principle of the QMS. Let's just talk about the second principle, which is the leadership. In order to the QMS to succeed, top management need to provide resources and adequate ongoing review of the system. Definitely, our top leadership, top management, the maybe the company president, maybe the CEO, maybe the board of directors, all of those people who involved in building those strategies and everything, right? Their support should be there. The vision should be coming from there, and that's why we talked about that. The quality values should be included in our vision statements and in our value statement, and that's where it the second principle of leadership supports comes into the QMS system. Let's talk about the third one, which is the engagement of people. What is the engagement of people? The people who work at your organization are the most important assets, and their knowledge and experience need to be understood in the QMS. And definitely, when we talk about the human resource in the QMS perspective, that is very, very much relevant. There, what kind of the people do we have? Do we have the growth minded people? Do we have the people with the right skill set? Do we have the people with right experience? Do we have the right responsibility assigned to the right resources? Are we trying to use the resources optimally? Are we giving them the enough opportunities, right? Is our culture supportive? Do we have the appropriate technology? So everything is we need to understand from a engaging of people perspective. And then the fourth one is the process approach, right? A process in is any activity that takes inputs, right, and then create output and outputs, and of course there is a processing in between, right? So there is an input, there is output, and there is a entire process of execution in between that turns the input into the output. So definitely in when we are talking about QMS, definitely we'll need to think about this principle of process approach. You can't have a QMS without the process approach. You can't have the QMS without having the processes list down. You don't have to you cannot have the QMS without having the standard operating procedures. You can't have the QMS without having the proper qualities of your input materials, or the various abstracts or the steps which is going to become the part of the QMS. So you will have to have the of course the process approach. And the fifth principle is the continuous improvement. And when we talked about the PDCA model, that is really important to remember and keep in mind that shape every time in our mind. And when we talk about the continuous improvement the principle, definitely that check step of the PDCA model should come into our mind, and then we should know that we are checking as per our plan, our execution against the plan, and then we are trying to identify if there are any gaps, if there are any variations, and definitely we need to reflect on them, and we need to take the corrective and the preventive measures accordingly. We talked about the current corrective and preventive measures, right? And the sixth principle is the evidence-based approach. What is the evidence-based approach, viewers? Here it is written here that the proper management cannot be done if we don't know how a process is actually working. By basing our decisions on facts, we can better manage and improve the QMS. So definitely it is talking about that all of our decisions which we are going to take to improve or maybe to implement the QMS system, or to run and execute the systems, we definitely have should be taking the decisions based on the evidence approach. And that is the another principle of the QMS system. And the last but not the least, the relationship management. And of course when we have the QMS, of course it is a system. Then when we have a system, various components, various partners, various vendors may be working with all of you uh, in your organization, in your business, maybe in your personal scope of work. And definitely your relationship with them will definitely impact your the quality of your QMS system. So that is all, that aspect should also be taken care of while we are thinking about the QMS. So those seven principles: the customer focus, the leadership, engagement of people, process approach, continuous improvement, evidence based approach, and the management relationship, that put those all seven principles put together makes the total cycle of principles of the QMS systems. If you take care about these principles, you would be able to better implement the QMS systems. You can have a very well performing QMS system wherever you are. That is what we are trying to say here. So that is really important to understand from a concept perspective. Okay, viewer, let's move on. Let's quickly talk about the standards. In our previous lecture, also when we were talking about the quality concepts, and we were trying to understand the quality, we briefly talked about the ASQ and ASQC, right? American Standard of Quality and American Standard Quality Control Society, right? Which is formed in 1946. You can see the previous lecture if you haven't watched it yet. Let's just since we are talking about the quality quality management system here today, so we will talk about the QMS standards here. What are the QMS standards, and we will briefly talk about it. Okay. Sorry viewers. So ISO 9001 to 2015 and this basically a nomenclature which ISO uses. So ISO is nothing but the International Standard Organization. Uh, this is 9001 2015 is one of the most recognized standard that defines the quality management system requirements. So the standard which is 9001 2015 basically talks about the quality management systems and what are the requirements of a quality management system. You all need to remember this. So the revised ISO 9001 standard is based on the high level structure and integrates with other management systems such as IATF, this ISO 14001 and ISO 14001 standard. So basically this 9001 incorporate all of these models which is listed here, including high level structure. Okay, so that is from a knowledge perspective, viewers. What is ISO 9001? Let's just discuss briefly about it. It means a standard that defines the QMS or the quality management system requirements. It talks about the requirements of a quality management systems, aims to produce quality product and service. And of course, this product or this standard is the aim of this standard is to provide the quality products and services and ultimately to meet customer needs and expectation. And of course the ultimate goal and the purpose, fit for purpose, is basically customer needs and requirements. So this model is basically pretty well covered across the PDCA approach. uh, so if you know the PDCA model, then of course understanding the this is basically aligned around the PDCA model, and then the QMS requirements is listed. So let's say if we talk about the planning, right? So we are in the PDCA model, the very first step is plan, right? So if we are trying to plan, so what is the basis for plan? So we talked about that, why do we plan? We have a company vision, we have the customer requirements, right? So the company's perspective is one input for planning, the customer requirements is the another input, and of course remember that PDCA, there is a check step, right? And if you have already some systems, and you will have some feedback from there, so these three inputs will be helping to your plan, and that is what is defined in the ISO 9001 QMS model here. So that what will be those three inputs, and how those three input may be incorporated into the planning phase. Then it talks about the, of course, the do, what are the supports required, the operations it talks about, and then it takes talks about the performance measurement before the checking. And of course, how do we check the performance measurement? We takes the customer feedback, we takes the customer satisfaction level into consideration, we talks about the product and services and the result of the QMS, right? All these things becomes the input for performance evaluation, and based we evaluate those performances against those characteristics, those criterias, and then we check it, and then definitely we got some action items from there, maybe for further improvement, maybe for to correct something, maybe to prevent something, and then we implement those through the process improvement phase, which is act, right? And we act, and that act again feed into the planning phase, and that's how this ISO 9000 quality management system. So it basically as per it is fit in with the approach of PDCA model, and that's why it is called as the ISO 9001 quality management system PDCA approach. And this model is basically taking care about stating the requirements of a quality management system at each step of PDCA. So that's what it is. Viewers also understand that what are the principles of ISO 9001 model, uh, and these are known as the quality management system principles. We already talked about the quality management principles, right? So I think these are very much similar here. The customer focus, the leadership, we talked about the engagement of people, process approach, improvement, we talked about evidence based decision, we talked about, and the relationship management. So all seven principles is also part of this model as well. So you can very well correlate that if you are going to have a quality management system and you want to follow it through QMS standards, then you can have in your business or in your professional organization, you can have this 9001 standard, and maybe that it may keep updating during 4 or 5 years. And then of course, if you are going to inbuild the systems, you will come to know what are the requirements, what are the requirements you need to follow. And then these this is of course built around considering those 7 principles, so each and every aspect will be taken care of. So that is what I was trying to make you all aware about, what are the quality standard for QMS. Just remember this: ISO 9001 2015 is the current one. Okay, viewers, let's move on. And as I promised during the lecture, that I am going to cover a very interesting concept today, while we are talking about the QMS, so that we understand the quality, the importance of quality and quality management. And the name of this concept is cost of quality. Okay, and this is very interesting topic, and the concept uh, that actually help us to how important the quality and quality management system is. If we do not have these two, then we will have to bear the cost of quality. And we talked about that. Fleasby Crosby given have given this concept. We talked about this in previous lecture. If you haven't watched that lecture, I can give you the link in the description box of the playlist, or into the I button. You can go and watch that video. Okay, viewers. So let's just talk about the cost of quality. What is cost of quality? As I told you earlier in the previous lecture, that if we ignore the quality, and if we ignore uh, we become silent about the quality, we do not drive the quality around its principle, around its 4 components, then definitely we will have to bear the cost of quality. And how do we have to bear the cost of quality? It is stated here. The various cost of quality can be broken down into 4 categories. So there are 4 cost of quality. One is so let's just talk about what are those 4, and then we will go through the details of this. The very first is the first two is the prevention cost and the appraisal cost. So these two cost is the basically the cost of conformance. So there are two type of cost of quality, basically: cost of conformance and cost of non-conformance. When we talk about the cost of conformance, and I already told you that what is the conformance meaning. So conformance meaning is that when you are trying to deliver the customer needs and requirements, you are trying to fulfill them, the effort which you are putting in order to do that, that comes under the cost of conformance. And if you considering especially from a quality perspective, then in the cost of conformance there are two kind of cost. One is the prevention cost, another is the appraisal cost. Similarly, we also have the cost of failure, right? So one is the cost of conformance, another is the cost of non-conformance or cost of failure. Cost of failure is also categorized in two category. One is the internal failure cost, and the second one is the external failure cost. So let's just look at these 4 categories, and then we will understand it from a diagram perspective, so that it will be more easy to understand. So let's just understand them first, and then we will go through the diagram and understand that. So very first is prevention cost. What is prevention cost? Prevention cost include all the funds spent to prevent the occurrence of defect. For example, including quality improvement initiatives, employee training, upgrading of equipments, implementing quality procedures, and making proactive design changes. Sorry, viewers. Okay, so what is prevention cost? All the efforts, as I said, we are putting into place, the mechanism which we are trying to put into place, like we talked about the the SOPs. We try to build the processes, right? We try to train the employees. We are taking care of the equipment's quality. We are maintaining them, we are upgrading them. So all of those costs, uh, you know, comes under the prevention code. Basically, you are trying to prevent the defects. You are trying to uh, you know bear or you are ready to bear some cost by implementing the QMS system, so that you don't have the cost, you don't have the defects, that all cost will come under the prevention cost. So basically that is a prevention, right? You are trying to prevent something. What we are trying to prevent? We are trying to prevent the defects, right? So that the defect do not occur and we deliver quality product or the services. Then second thing, second cost under this cost of conformance is the appraisal cost. What is the appraisal cost? All money spent in checking and testing of products during the production process would be considered as appraisal cost. So whatever you are maybe manufacturing, maybe producing, maybe building, maybe preparing, right, from a tangible and intangible product or a service perspective, when you spend something to consider, to check, right, to audit, to revalidate, right? So all of these kind of costs, like the cost of auditing, cost of inspection, cost of revalidation, cost of conformance, these all costs will come under the appraisal cost. Like, the wages of the inspector would defined as part of the process. It may be an auditor, right? The cost of auditing, basically the testing labs and the equipment. What are the processes or the equipment you are using? Yeah, there is some cost associated with it. How you are gauging, how you are measuring, how you are what are your process to control the quality. All of those efforts and the cost of those efforts will be treated as the appraisal cost. So viewers, we understood this. So understand it from two perspective, and we'll see the diagram. Don't worry about this. The cost of conformance is two: prevention cost, appraisal cost. Whatever cost or the effort you are putting to build the quality product, so that the defects can be avoided, variation can be avoided, that is all prevention cost. And the cost while you are checking on those product and qualities, that are they as per standard or not, is there a variation or not, when you are revalidating it, that all cost is the appraisal cost. And these two costs clubbed together is a cost of conformance. Now the another two costs which is listed here, the internal failure cost and external failure cost, is a cost of non-conformance. These two costs will occur if you are failed to have the quality product, right? So then, and these are categorized as internal failure cost and external failure cost. What is internal failure cost? Once a defect has been produced, so let's say if you are producing something, preparing something, manufacturing something, and there is a defect found, irrespective that you spent some cost for preventing and you had the appraisal cost, and during the appraisal, you identified, during the audit you identify there is some defect, right? So with this defect, with any luck of the organization will detect the error before it leaves the building and it's sent to the customer. So during the internal inspection, if it is found that a product or a service is defective, and it is actually good to found the fault, or basically I will say the defects, before it got delivered to the customer, right? Because if it got delivered to the system, then it will become an external failure cost, it will come back from there. But let's just restrict to the internal failure cost. You identified it internally that there is some problem with the or the issue with the product or the services which we need to fix. Often defective products can be repaired, but all of the extra time spent on the network is considered internal failure cost. Product that is unable to be repaired is classified as scrap, right? So once you identify the fault, once you identify the defect, that is your during the appraisal, right? You are doing the during the audit, you found that some products are defective products. Uh, Now, only action, what action you can take? You can take action, the corrective for first one, right? So what will be the corrective action? You will try to repair those, and you will try to avoid, eliminate those defects from those products. That's one. If that is done, that is fine. You know, rework on those basically the defected products or the services, and then you will again try to again test them and then verify that and revalidate that now they are fine. So in order to do this, that you are reworking on those, trying to eliminate those defects which were found during the audit, and making them suit to use or fit for use or fit for purpose, you are spending something on that, right? You are spending resources, you are spending time, you are you know, reworking on them. So that is, that cost is your internal failure cost. Now another thing is maybe that, you know, the defect is such that it cannot be repaired, right? Then that product or a service will be completely you know, useless, and we call it as a scrap. I mean, you will have to scrap that product or a service. That is a complete cost. Whatever is spent is you know, done by the company on that particular unit of a product or a service, that is completely waste, and that is a completely uh, since it is a scrap now, so we can't recover that cost, so that is also a internal failure cost. So now basically the internal failure cost is a combination of two costs. If we see, cost of rework and cost of scrap put together is our internal failure cost. Now let's look at the external failure cost. Let's see that, you know, the QC is passed during the audit, nothing has happened and nothing has identified. We see that, you know, the product is fit for use, fit for purpose, and it is meeting customer requirement and needs, and it gone to the market, and you know, customer buy those products, bought those products, and then uses them. Now during the usages, when customer or the client is using those product or services, they come to know, they realized while experiencing those and using those product and services, they come to know that, you know, there are some faults, there are some defects. Then what happens, those then of course those customer will contact to the you know, sales department or to the service department. They will ask to repair those product. Probably there may be some warranty, probably there may be some guarantee as well, right? So it depends, you know, if the product is under sold through the guarantee or through the warranty, whatever the case is, we will have to you know, recollect those product and services, and then we'll have to rework on them, and you will have to inspect them, that, you know, if the customer, the fault or the defect which customer is claiming is actually there or not. And then if yes, then of course you again go through the rework and the scrap thing, right? If it is a repairable, you will repair it, and if it is under warranty or under the guarantee, then of course you will have to give a new product. Then again, that will be another cost. So in this case also, so once a defective product has been shipped to the customer, the cost then becomes external failure cost. Replacement product, yeah, if you need to replace that product, if it is not repairable, right, then that will become the scrap to you, and of course you will have to deliver the another fresh product to the customer. That is also, so all the cost, which is the cost of the first product, which becomes a scrap because of the non repairability, and because of the fault which cannot be repaired, which cannot be rework, and becomes the scrap. That is one cost. Then again, you are delivering the another product if it is under the guarantee, right? Then you will have all those costs will become and fall under the umbrella of the external failure cost. uh, Expedite shipping, like, you know, if you need to collect the product and re-deliver it, and all of those costs, also the external cost. Potential lawsuits, maybe that, you know, some customer may not be satisfied, that, you know, even if you are able to repair it, then they have some level of doubt that, you know, there is some manufacturing defect on the product. They may file a suit or a lawsuit against your company, against your business, against your product, against your services. You will also have to spend something there. You will have to spend your resources there, right? You will have to use your the law agency, maybe probably if you have a law unit, then your resources will be used there, and probably you will have to bear some fines or the cost of it also. So all those things will come into the external failure cost. The product recalls, right? If you know, customer complains and they say that, you know, it's not working up to the mark, it is not up to the mark, it is not, the performance is not good, I am not satisfied. And in that call, if the company takes a call that, okay, please go and recall the product, then of course there is a cost there, right? the actual and okay, product recalls, and of course the loss of failure business are all external failure costs. Consider this also, that if your product goes into the market, and then of course there is a lot, recall ratio is very high, then of course you may probably like to lose the market, right? Those people will do the bad mouthing about your product and the services. That risk is also a cost. Consider this, that what is that risk, and how do you rate that risk, and you can quantify that risk from a cost perspective. That is also the cost to your brand, right? So that is also comes under the cost of external failure. It is impossible to predict the actual external failure cost, since there is no way to gauging the impact of dissatisfied customer on future businesses. So of course, as I said, that what level of business will impact by customer complaint, by recalling of the products, or the number of complaints which is getting raised by the customers to your service centers. That all may not be give you the exact cost, because and that is why the external failure cost is not easy to calculate from that perspective, right? If a product is faulty and it got returned to the company, and company had to deliver another new product, that is easy to calculate, right? That what was the cost of that product, and what was the cost of transportation, getting it recollect, and then replacing it with the new the product, and that all can be calculated. But how many what percentage of business you may tend losing in the market, what percent of share of the market you are going to lose because of all these unsatisfied customer. That is where there is no hard and fast rule, but I think there is certainly some way, but no concrete way to calculate that, right? So like for a brand value uh, of a company nowadays, if you see the balance sheet of the companies, in the asset side, they also mention the brand value of their company. Apart from all the physical tangible non-tangible assets, the brand is considered as an asset, non-tangible assets. And every company rate give their dollar value, maybe, or maybe the whatever currency they have, they show in their balance sheet the brand value. So this is kind of that thing, right? Which is hard to calculate, but definitely it is there. And there are some ways companies can forecast it. So this was the concept of cost of quality, and let's just look at it from a diagram perspective, and then it will be more clear to you all viewers. Here we go. And this is a wonderful chart about the cost of quality. So as we discussed, that the cost of quality are of two kinds: cost of conformance, where we are all the efforts and the cost which is as a result of implementing the QMS, implementing all of those, like those comes under the cost of conformance. And even after spending or spending some cost as a cost of conformance, we have some level of non-conformance that will be considered under the cost of conformance. So the cost of quality is basically two kinds: cost of conformance, cost of non-conformance. Cost of conformance is of again two types: prevention cost, when we are spending something or implementing something to prevent the defect, that is prevention cost. Like you are training the staff so that they perform their job better. You document the process so nobody is unaware about it, right? So everybody is aware. You are testing the equipments, you are time required to do it, right? You are giving all of this, so that is basically the spend you are making to make your employees skills. You are training them, you are just giving them the demo and everything, and you are documenting the process, you are testing them. So all of this prevention course, so that the defect do not occur. But the another thing is you also want to ensure that if defect is there or not, right? How do you know that? By spend by working on the prevention code doesn't ensure that that defect is not there, that variance is not there. So you will have to check that, right? How do you check that? All of those checks cost is the appraisal cost. How do you check that? Like running the test, you run the test, right? Destructive testing loss and not applicable for certain projects like software, right? And then you see that, but of course the user testing is there, in the software environment, right? The user acceptance test is there. There are some bug testing there, right? The code testing is there, right? So there are those testing in the software environment, but from a different perspective, right? Then inspecting deliverables, right? So all of this, so if you are testing, you are spending some cost and the resources uh, to check it that the defect is there or not, it is running smoothly or not, it is working fine or not. That cost is the appraisal cost, and these two, prevention and appraisal cost put together, is a cost of conformance. Now let's just look at the cost of non-conformance. If your product and the service is not as per the customer requirements and they complain it, not the customers, but cost of non-conformance is basically two types: the internal failure cost and external failure cost. I'm sorry, the customer's thing will come under the external failure cost. We'll talk about it. So let's say you did all the cost spending, resource spending for the cost of conformance, but still when you do the audit and everything during this appraisal cost, you come to know that there are some problems with the products. Some of the product are faulty, some of the product have defects, there are some issues which we need to address. Then definitely, to address on those issues, to eliminate those defects, you again will have to do rework, right? Definitely, if there is something wrong, you will have to correct it, and in order to correct it, definitely you will have to do the rework. So in the internal failure cost, you are spending, your cost is of two type. One is the rework cost. If you come to know there is a defect during the appraisal, you come to know that there is a defect, and that you identify the defect, and in order to correct the defect, you are reworking on those defects so that you can eliminate them and again test them, and it can be fit for purpose, fit for use. That is rework. Another is, then you identified a defect, and then you come to a conclusion that that defect cannot be repaired. Then that product and service is completely scrapped, right? Then that total cost, whatever you spend to build or produce that product, is your internal failure cost. So these two costs put together, the rework cost and the scrap cost. If the product is reworkable, you rework it and send it back for selling to the customer. But of course there is a cost of rework. So cost of rework plus cost of scrap is your internal failure cost. Let's say you did everything, you spend something on the internal failure cost, reverse and scrap, and then you finally deliver the product or the service to the customer. Now while experiencing and using the customer is using those product and services, they will come to know that, okay, let's see that if they highlight something issue and problem and the faults, that and you have to bear some cost after that, in order to address the customer queries, complaints, servicing, warranty, and all of that will come here. That all cost will come under the external failure cost. So let's see what are the listed here. So liabilities, lawsuits, product recalls, warranty work, right? Lost business and the lost credibility, we just talked about it, right? So the I hope viewers that today you understood the completely about the QMS, the what is quality management system, what are the basic four component of the quality management system, what are the quality management systems principles, what are the quality standards, and we also talked through the very very interesting concept, cost of quality. I will just reiterate this diagram once again. The cost of quality is of two kinds: cost of conformance and cost of non-conformance. Cost of conformance again divided into two types: prevention cost and appraisal cost. So all of the cost, like which is you are training the people, you are changing the equipment, you are testing the equipment, you are putting the processes into place, all of that your prevention cost. Appraisal cost is basically the audit cost, inspection cost, uh, revalidation cost. If you are revalidating something, you are auditing something, you are checking something, those resources, those costs will be your appraisal cost. Then there is a second type cost is the non-conformance cost, is the internal failure cost and external failure cost. If you identify the fault internally and you do rework and if you do rework to correct them, and if it is not reworkable you scrap them. Of course these two costs will are part of your internal failure cost, because you identify the failure internally and then you have to bear some cost in order to rework or put it into the scrap. That is your internal failure case. And then the external failure case is external failure cost is basically when the product or services went to the market, customer are using them, and then they are raising some complaint queries, non-conformance about the product, or that they go to the lawsuits and do the lawsuits. There are some liabilities, there are some warranties, there are some guarantees you will have to will that you have a risk to lose some of the business. All of that is a cost of external failure. So that is how the cost of quality is understood. And I think if we understood the cost of quality, then we also understood the importance of quality concepts and the quality management system. If we have a quality management system, I would say, to summarize, that all of those cost of quality can be eliminated. I would not say 100%, but maximum we can mitigate, accommodate through this through the quality management system. And that's how the quality management system is so important, viewers. So I hope viewers you understood the quality management systems and its important by correlating it with the cost of quality concepts. And I thank you all the viewers, followers, and the subscribers. And if you like the video, I know that many people are watching the video. There are a lot of views, but I think I request you to like the videos also, subscribe to our channel, like our channel, and share these videos with your dear and loved one, and keep sharing and building these skills. This is Chris signing off. Bye bye.